certainly, if I thought that this was going to do anything at all to advance Medicare for all, then absolutely, of course. Right? Like, I mean, it couldn't be more urgent. I absolutely agree that, you know, that if there was something we could do here that would really advance it, we shouldn't wait for it. I'm not convinced that it would. I certainly don't think that it would in the ways that Jimmy Dore seems to think so. I mean, I heard Natalie, I think, make this point earlier that he thinks that it would take away the cover of Democrats who are co-sponsoring but might not really support it. I think exactly the opposite is true.
So Ben Burgis is very boring and it's hard to listen to. His uninspiring words. So much time that people spend into, hey, don't be inspired. Hey, there is no chance. No, there is no hope. You remember the little smidgen of hope that Jimmy gave you? There's actually less of a hope than that smidgen. It's even smaller. You thought it was just a three-point shot. This shit's a Hail Mary. No, you got to throw it all the way to the end zone. He got to catch it after it bounces around a couple people's hands. That's by pen, we can get ourselves a public option. By pen we can end the war on drugs. We can forgive student debt. And we can repeal the Patriot Act. We can get ourselves a public option by pen, end the war on drugs, forgive student debt, repeal the Patriot Act. Medicare for all is kind of a big boondoggle, right? But ending the war on drugs, just sign that away. Repeal the Patriot Act, sign that away. Forgive student debt, sign that away. Extend the public option, which is that's Joe Biden's position. My position is Bernie care. Joe Biden wants his public option. You push for Bernie care. You might not get Bernie care, but you'll at least land on the moon, reach for the stars, and land on Joe Biden's public option.
More cover, because they would be on record as having voted for it. I think that co-sponsorship does, follow people around. Like, I think if Bernie Sanders had co-sponsored the crime bill, that would have been a much bigger problem in the primary, actually, than him just having...
Yeah, because people really pay attention to the co-sponsors real closely. Who supports Medicare for all and who doesn't? I don't fucking know. And neither does Ben Burgis, for sure. Kamala Harris, she co-sponsored it, then criticized Bernie care. So where does Kamala stand, right? So this is Ben Burgis, and I believe I've seen him actually on Jacobin or however you want to... either way they're wrong, right? So Ben Burgis, why are you so against Americans getting health care?
Voted for
the Violence Against Women's Act, part of it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I do think it's pretty parliamentary, honestly. Like, the problem is, if there was some way to force Congress to seriously consider it, then I'd be all for that. But this wouldn't be forcing Congress to seriously consider it. The majority of Congress is already on record as opposing it. This would just be forcing them to hold a vote to make that official. And I guess maybe there's something to doing that.
Maybe there's a purpose to it, but I just Jimmy Dore says this imagine if Bernie Sanders would have said this COVID relief bill doesn't cover shit. Do you really think $600 is going to stop an eviction or feed a family or pay your hospital bill? Your government's abandoned you. It's time for a revolution. Imagine if he said that, Jimmy Dore asked. No health care, no universal basic income, but you got $600. $600 for you, $5 trillion. $5 trillion for the donors. The oligarchy is begging for a revolution. They're begging for it. Steph Zamorano, she said that Jimmy Dore and Steph Zamorano almost went bankrupt over medical bills. Yeah, they've struggled. Yeah, they've had real people problems. Might be shocking. I know they're like, skin brothers, but they've had their share of struggles too, and they want Medicare for all for everybody, so that way we don't have to go through the same shit they went through.
When that vote would do, I guess it's possible. I do tend to think that I think I'm less optimistic than Katie is about our ability to control the narrative right now. I think that probably to the very limited extent that it would get covered, which honestly I don't think is very much, because I do agree with the point that I saw Ryan Gribb make that votes that. Yeah,
fascinating stuff, Big Burgess. Okay, so Ben Burgess doesn't want to put any flair into his stuff whatsoever. They're just supposed to respect any, brain dropping that comes out of this guy's brain. Ben Burgis makes me, it's no wonder it took 2 years of civil war of Americans killing each other before we got the Emancipation Proclamation.
The House voting to legalize marijuana or decriminalize it is a big deal because it's the House voting to do it. If a vote was held on something that never had any chance to pass in the House and nobody ever thought had any chance to pass in the House, I guess I don't believe that would get a lot of coverage.
So Ben Burgis is for legalizing marijuana, but not Medicare for all. He thinks legal marijuana could pass, but there's no chance.
To the very limited extent that it did get coverage, I suspect that it might be coverage that didn't look good for us.
God forbid there'd be some negative coverage about Medicare for all. What would we do if that happened?
Well, sure, of course, but the point is just that if the benefit is supposed to be the media coverage, if that's all we're getting out of it is the media coverage, then it seems like if the media coverage is negative, then I don't really get the argument. I don't really get why.
So it's crazy that you would have Jimmy Dore used to be the host of TYT. Gene Kugar said that Jimmy Dore is the funniest man in the world. The heyday of TYT was when Jimmy Dore and Gene Kugar were side by side, and you had two titans talking about the issues, and they fed into one another. Now you got these two monster progressive, maybe progressive. I don't know. It seems like Jimmy Dore is more progressive than Gene Kugar by a long shot. But it seems crazy that the former host, the new host, would insult the former host. So if, on Jon Stewart, when Jon Stewart got in there, he just started shitting all over Craig Ferguson, all that damn Craig Ferguson. What did he ever do? He didn't do nothing. Or Trevor Noah just shitting on Jon Stewart. What is going on? This can't be good for the TYT brand. I mean, my God, how long was he part of TYT? He hosted the damn thing, and now Jink is sitting there saying that he's a piece of shit. So I get a little nostalgic for the good old days when Jimmy Dore, Gene Kugar, and Anna Kasparian, they were spitting on Alex Jones, calling Alex Jones a stupid fat fuck, yelling at him. Jink, he grabbed the microphone aggressively. It's my microphone, Alex. No, I get the microphone, not you.
Because the downsides are relatively low, and we have in our power right now to be having a conversation about how to maximize positive coverage. How do we get a line full of little boys on insulin to testify in front of Congress? If there's limited hearing time, to Natalie's point, how do we extend it into the public sphere? How do we weaponize?
Briahna's right.
In an activist component, not to. It's to be made for one,
I don't
three.
think that's the issue. I don't think the issue is everybody thinks that this is a great thing that will advance Medicare for all, so do we do it now or do we do it in June? I think the issue is this a great thing that will advance Medicare for all?
No, that's not the question, though. The question is, if there are limited downsides, then why not try it now when there are such obvious benefits to doing it now and there are no foreseeable benefits to doing it in any perceivable future?
I think the disagreement is whether there are any obvious benefits to doing it.
Well, I just enumerated them. The fact that we're in the middle of a global pandemic where 14 million people have just been kicked off their health insurance, the fact that the Democratic Party has acknowledged that healthcare should be free for all COVID victims, and it's an obvious slippery slope to, how are they going to delineate, oh yes, we think that you should get, it's inhumane not to be treated if you get COVID, but not inhumane if you get sick from cancer or diabetes. This is already an issue that they're very clearly vulnerable over. Why not exploit it? And why not exploit the fact that Nancy Pelosi is so reviled that it would demand media attention, at very least from right-wing outlets who are not going to let this issue drop?
I think that we should be exploiting all of the factors that you just mentioned. The question is whether this actually accomplishes that or not.
So we can add Ben Burgis to the name of haters. I've been saying Jacobin. I believe he's the guy that I thought of when he ran a thing and he's talked about it. So Ben Burgis is a hater along with Hassan Albi, Max Kaiser, Stacey Hebert, Cody Johnston, Ben Dixon, David Packman, Sam Cedar, Emma Vigilant, Francesca Fiorentina, Farron Cousins, Voss, David Soretto, Roland Martin, Josh Fox, and Anna Kasparian, David Soretto, and Gene Kugar.
And it seems like what you're laying out are a bunch of things other than this that we could do. And sure, right, we could do both. Fair enough. But it is both, because if we're getting 15 minutes of discussion about it, before a vote that is not going to get very much media coverage, and what very little it gets is going to be focused on how it was such a loser that it was overwhelmingly voted down, then all the other stuff, all the stuff with the creative types, all the stuff with the line of kids, with the insulin, all of that stuff is just a different thing that's also going on.
No, it's in tandem.
That's not even all that tied into it.
It's tied in, and it's a crucial part of the argument. I wanted to make sure to emphasize that in the article as well. You can't, so often, here's my frustration. So often the left likes to say, well, it has to be a leaderless movement, and things come from the bottom up, not the top down, and all of this. But none of us are at the top, and none of us are really movement actors. And we could be movement actors. We could be participating. We could be putting affirmative ideas out into the world and trying things. And sometimes we're going to fail. But all I ever hear is leftists saying, no, we can't do this without offering a viable alternative. And God forbid someone try something.
Well,
God forbid.
Just for the record, I don't believe in
alternative. Great alternative, and you're saying yes and, but the whole question is, should it be yes and, or should it just be what Nando just suggested? Because if, in fact, there's nothing in particular we get out of this, and how it plays out, like there are good reasons to think is mostly going to be negative, then why not just do
well, yeah, but let's like, no, sorry.
Certainly, why present anybody not signing on to this strategy as if it were prima facie evidence of being a sellout or a hypocrite, which is
This is the thing. This is why I want to make this a just forced Medicare for all vote and take out the Jimmy thing and take out the Briahna Joy Gray thing. Not that there's anything wrong, all praise be. I'm just saying that to make it as depersonalized a thing, because I think there's actually a very tricky and interesting thing here, right? Which is that there is a power of personalities to bring things up, right? Make them popular, and of course, a lot of people find Jimmy Dore.
All right, so Katie Halper show, check that out. It's a fantastic conversation. Briahna Joy Gray, definitely one that, why not just try? This is the opportunity. Can you see it foreseeable? Can you see when we do this and look at the arguments? All the pro arguments are good arguments. All the con arguments are dumb arguments, and they're awful. There's no good con argument against putting pressure on Pelosi to get us Medicare for all. Put pressure on Pelosi to get us, off the Patriot Act or off the war on drugs, or get us some public option, or forgive student loan debt. So we can listen to Briahna Joy Gray. We can listen to Briahna Joy Gray. We cannot listen to Ben Burgis. We can listen to Katie Halper. We cannot listen to Nomiki Konst. We can listen to Richard Medhurst, Graham Elwood, Ron Placone, not Sam Cedar. We can listen to Abby Martin, Nina Turner, Jesse Ventura, Justin Jackson, Eleanor Goldfield. We cannot listen to Hassan Abi. We can listen to David Dolan, the Humanist Report. They got their own category. I put them on their own list. They're on the side of force the vote, but they are also friends with a bunch of the, right-wing neoliberals. So Fiorella Isabella, Susan Sarandon, Marianne Williamson, Tim Black, Nico House, The Vanguard, Zach and Gavin, Johnny Tsunami, Nick Brana, Chris Hedges, Max Blumenthal, Crystal Ball, Aaron Mate. We can listen to Kyle Kalinske and Lee Camp. We can't listen to Farron Cousins, Emma Vigilant, Vosh. We cannot listen to Josh Fox. They are not telling us the truth. They are not pushing for Medicare for all. I don't know what they're pushing for. They're just kind of sitting on their duffs and just saying, your idea is dumb. Do you have a better idea? No, but your idea is dumb. Okay, Ben Burgis, so this is the only time I've ever, heard of you, and it'll probably be the last time, so peace.